right.
We'll wing it again.
Welcome to the wildly opinionated news hour, Todd's World. I am Todd, and Carrie's with me, and we are here to recap the news of the week for you.
Whee!
Make sense of the crazy. Right, Carrie?
That's what we try to do.
Which it was Thanksgiving week, so
Yeah.
there was still plenty of crazy, but things should have chilled out a little bit.
I'm thankful for this space with you to have fun with the crazy.
I'm thankful for your partnership. Cheers. Here's to us as I pour all
Cheers.
over my computer.
Cheers to us. Don't spill. So last week you decided,
I
I think
decided.
last minute, to put the full video of us out
Yeah, on X
on
and
X,
YouTube.
YouTube, etc. And I
Yeah,
just want to say I was not prepared for
you
that.
weren't prepared. I
I
thought you
had
looked fabulous,
I
Carrie.
had no makeup. I was in pajamas,
I
no
don't have any
bra,
makeup on today,
nothing. So
and
now
I need it.
I have lip gloss and I have clothes on. So that's good. I already feel
Congratulations.
more
You were probably better
prepared.
off without clothes on. You get us some views.
I It's not that kind of show.
Oh, I forget. So, how was your week? How was Thanksgiving?
Happy Thanksgiving. It was really great.
You had
Family here,
family
so
and your
much
kids in and
fun.
grandkid in.
Grandbaby, what a blast he is.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
enjoying the
yeah.
grandparenting phase of life.
Love it. I
You
love
don't
it.
look old enough to be a grandparent.
I don't.
Look at that.
I know. He's so cute. He's at that point where like he knows who I am. So when he looks at me, he just smiles. It's like, what's better than that?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's great.
Oh, I put too much honey in
Super
my
fun.
tea.
Oh,
I got
look
a
at you
cold,
drinking
guys. So
tea. He's sick.
I'm trying to push through for you because what are you going to do if we don't give you the news?
I know, right? You know what? I'm gonna drink enough for
You've
both of
got
us
you've
tonight.
got a beer. Good.
Good.
You go. I should have put a little bourbon in this, but
Oh, you know what? A little bit. Actually, it's nice. I'm
I
not a big
know.
bourbon, not a huge bourbon drinker, but sick a few weeks ago in the honey and the tea, it was really good.
Yeah, it probably would be good. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll
You'd
get through
fall
it.
asleep right now, but like later, do it
I'm a
later.
highly trained professional. We'll get through.
You are. We're self-trained, but we are trained.
Thanksgiving was good with us. We had, of
Yeah.
course, family. Didn't travel, which I am so happy about not traveling.
Yeah, you were the destination. 40-pound
Yeah.
turkey he
Well,
had.
we did travel, I guess. I mean, we traveled like around the block to
Yeah.
mention, but not
Do you
really.
do you have an oven big enough for that turkey?
Yeah. I
It's
didn't, it wasn't big enough for
huge.
anything else,
It's huge. Yeah.
but I didn't really need it for anything else. I make the stuffing too, and I do the stuffing homemade. So I like cut the bread up and stale the bread and do the whole thing, fresh herbs, the whole thing. And
You
I
are
love
the
it.
real deal.
I'm the real deal, man. I'm
You
like Emerald.
are.
Bam.
Bam. Do you know how I prepare our Thanksgiving dinner?
No,
I order it from Bob Evans.
no, you don't.
I do.
Do you really?
It's awesome.
Oh yeah. You got to tell
Yeah.
me how's that work? So you don't cook?
I mean, I do. I make sweet potatoes
Okay.
and
What about desserts? Do you order those
um
from Bob Evans too?
there's like a package.
Oh, okay.
And you
We
like
don't even
different.
have a Bob Evans up here anymore, I don't think. We
Oh,
used to,
shoot. Oh, darn.
but
But yeah, it comes with turkey, stuffing, corn, gravy, green beans with the ham and the onions in it. Um, what else, man? It comes with a pumpkin pie and rolls and pumpkin
wow.
bread and
Does it
it's
like, do you have to specify how many you're feeding?
mm. They have like this package feeds
However
eight.
many.
This feeds
Okay.
whatever. Yep.
Okay.
So
And it's
I
relatively
put it,
reasonable in your opinion for
it is. It's so reasonable.
that's
And
nice. And when do you
I
get
just
it? Like when do you
I
pick it up?
like a day or two before.
Okay, so you got to heat everything up.
Yeah. Couple days
Okay.
before, yep, you get it all ready. They give you a schedule. If you want to have dinner at this time, here's what you do 2 hours
Wow.
before. Here's what you do. I'm telling you,
So you
anyone
get
could
to
do it.
just enjoy your holiday
Yep,
without all the craziness.
I watched the parade.
Yeah.
I watched the Lions win.
I actually watched Lions win too. It's the first game I've watched all year. I don't watch a lot of
Yeah, the
I don't watch any
NFL.
NFL.
It was a
I
great
saw
game.
today that Trevor Lawrence got beheaded.
Oh my gosh, he
right?
practically did.
That's so
Lord.
much for the
And
Jaguars.
I know, gosh, he's about, yeah,
Did
never
he
mind.
come back into the game or no?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. He was upright and conscious, but I'm sure concussion protocol will keep him out for a bit.
Yeah. And did they lose? Because Jaguars are good at losing,
Yeah,
right?
we lost by 3,
What's your
which is
record this
like
year? Are they horrible?
we are now 2-10.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty horrible.
But I'll tell you what, you should go look at our scores. We lose by like 3 points,
So it's always
one
exciting.
point. No, it's always hopeful, and then all of your hopes are dashed, crushed at the
You
end.
know what's funny is it's almost
It's awful.
like you grew up in Michigan, of course, so you grew up a
Hmm.
Lions fan. So you're
Alliance fan.
still a bit of a Lions fan, right?
I totally am. Yeah.
And now you've got the Jaguars. Even though the Lions are good now, you've got the Jaguars to take the place of the Lions. They were horrible forever. It sounds like almost the same thing.
The Jaguars have not been good. And so everyone's like, how can you stay so loyal and so optimistic? And I'm like, I trained for this my entire life, being a Lions fan. I was so
You
excited
know,
about how the
though
Lions are
the
doing,
game
though.
of the week was
Yeah.
Michigan and Ohio
Oh my
State
gosh. Did you watch it?
yesterday. I did, yeah. I was impressed.
Is that one of our topics today?
No,
Oh, okay.
it was not that exciting. Oh, I
Okay.
guess we did have the fight, didn't we?
I wondered if that was
I
going to be one
forgot
of our
about that.
topics.
Yeah, you can talk about that. You posted it on Facebook, so you must have had strong opinions about it. I didn't care at all. I thought it was stupid that they maced them. I thought let them go. They got pads and stuff on. You
Oh
let
my
hockey
gosh.
players fight all the time.
Oh, not like that. Not after the game.
Everybody's like, this is an ugly way to end the game. And I thought, it's entertaining. What are you talking about? It's
Oh
fine.
gosh, you're so funny.
I didn't care at all.
Todd's comparison, what he said was he was glad to see something. It was like more exciting than the Tyson
Tyson
fight,
fight.
which
Oh
made me
God.
laugh out loud. I almost spit my coffee out
It was
because I was
horrible.
like, that
You watched that
it's
Tyson fight, didn't you? Or no?
I watched the entire thing.
Oh, it was a
I
nightmare.
stayed up all
Waste
night
of
watching
time.
all the garbage leading up to it for that. It was hilarious, but
Tyson totally threw that fight.
I think so. I watched a video of him training
Right.
like
He looked
for
like a
this
different
fight.
person.
Oh yeah.
Even the
Like
way he moved, he looked like a
they
different
either
person.
drugged him or he threw the fight.
They gave him whatever they've been giving Biden when he right before he got in the ring, I think. Just like
No, it's
stumbling around.
no, it's like the opposite. It's the opposite. But anyway, but that Michigan game was such a surprise.
I know, I was shocked.
I wasn't really even gonna watch it, to be honest.
No.
No, because I
I
just
didn't think
didn't
it'd
think
be
it
that
was
great. I
gonna,
turned it on and I
yeah.
expected it to get bad because
Yeah,
it was at
totally.
Ohio State. Ohio State, for everybody who doesn't know, was ranked number 2 in the country.
2. Yep. Oh yeah, in the
And
country, right?
yeah, and Michigan
Number
is
2.
just not good at all. Now, Michigan last
Unranked.
year they won the national championship, and
Yes.
then the NCAA ran off Jim Harbaugh finally after trying to for like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And
And they
he
lost several good players.
yeah, and with the transfer portal now, if you lose your coach, it's like I mean everybody leaves, and it's just they got to figure out
Yeah.
this transfer portal thing. It's a
What
little
does that mean? What's the transfer portal?
well now if the the coach whoever players can just come and go at the end of the season wherever they want.
What?
It's almost like an unrestricted free agency.
That's weird.
So it's just kind of yeah, it's in that the
Who would
NIL
leave
is
the
the
Wolverines? I mean, who would leave? That's crazy.
a lot of people did because they didn't
Wow.
think they were going to win. And so they want to go somewhere
Yeah.
where they can win and win right away. Like they don't want to be part of like a rebuilding or whatever.
Okay.
So I don't
It's
know.
lame.
But it was a great game. That
It
was a good
was.
game.
It was such a
The
surprise. Loved it.
that was yesterday, right?
Yes.
Friday.
Hmm.
Friday. It's hard for me to keep the days straight because we had
Hmm.
Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
then Lauren, my daughter, the singer-songwriter, Lauren Allen, who you can find on Spotify or you can
She is
find on
excellent.
TikTok or probably other things that I'm not thinking of right now. But anyway,
Hmm.
Instagram maybe. She had 2 gigs. She had a gig Friday night at a really nice brewery in town that she'd set up a year in advance.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
For
little
Black
much.
Friday. Good for her.
Yeah, they were real taken with themselves too. Because we were
Oh.
like, well, maybe we'll move tables. And they're like, oh, you've already been served. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's free tables open all over. But
Mm,
whatever. Um,
okay.
I didn't care that much. And so anyway, I get mixed up. But Friday night, she had that gig. We came home
Hmm.
and I've been sick all week, just pushing through this horrible cold.
So sorry.
I lay down and I happen to notice that Georgia is down to Georgia Tech in the fourth quarter. So I turned that game on Friday night. That game went into 8 overtimes.
I didn't even hear about this. We
And
were we were
Georgia
watching the
won
Chiefs and Raiders.
in eight overtimes. And mind you, they shouldn't have won. They had horrible, horrible calls all over the field, all through those overtimes, all of which favored Georgia. Now they were playing at Georgia, but
Okay.
just but
Georgia's
just
ranked number one or
no,
three.
they had two losses already, I think. So this would
Okay.
have been their third loss if, but they ended up winning.
Okay.
But yeah, 8 overtimes.
Ridiculous. I didn't even hear
And
about
you know the
this.
way that college has kind of changed its overtime in the last few years. So they
Okay.
they have they have one where they start each team starts on the 30 and then you got to match it. You know, if they kick a field goal, you can go for the win or
Yes.
you can kick a field goal, whatever. Well, that's the first overtime. Second overtime, you have to go for two if you score a touchdown.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But then by the time they get to the third overtime, and I think I'm right on these, it could be fourth, but I'm pretty sure it was third. All they do is
Hmm.
line up on the 3 yard line and they go for 2 point conversions. So
Oh my
basically,
gosh.
Georgia lines up for a 2 point conversion. They either get it or they don't. And
Okay.
then Georgia Tech lines up and they get to match it or try to win or whatever. So that's
Okay.
why you can have like 8 overtimes and they keep rolling real fast because each
Okay.
team's only running one play.
So it's like a 2-point conversion shootout, is what it
Yeah,
is. That's
kind of.
really kind of interesting. It's fun
I
because,
don't know that it's bad. As I was watching it, I thought
oh, it's
it's not so
interesting.
bad.
Yeah.
But
Well, so Georgia football, the Georgia Bulldogs are ranked fifth.
yeah,
Yeah. I knew it was up there because they,
they'll be
I
in the
mean, they
playoffs
won. Yeah. Yeah.
because now there's going to be a 12-team playoff this year for the first time in college football.
Oh, as
So
opposed to where they're
four
like, okay,
for the last few years, there's been four. Back in the day, remember they had the BCS, and it was all these computers and all this crap, and then you had a
okay,
BCS title game. You know what I
okay,
mean? And there was,
sure.
but then they went to a 4-team playoff, and then now
Okay.
they've expanded it to a 12-team playoff.
Which I hope people are happy with because in the past several years, it's come down to, I feel like uh, to fans, an arbitrary, decision who makes the playoffs.
I kind of like that they're going to have a few more because I think
Yeah.
I think
I
what
think it's
happens.
more fair, more inclusive, if you will.
I think that the top four teams get buys.
Okay.
So
Ah,
and then your bottom eight are like playing each other, and then you get
play
in,
among themselves
yeah.
and
Then the next, then whoever
rule
whatever
out
four
some.
come out of that play
That's
the
kind of
top
cool.
four. Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
this is the first year they're doing it, so we'll see how it works. But
That'll be interesting. So the Big Ten championship is next week.
yeah, I'm not
And I
sure who
think
that's gonna be.
I
Oregon, I know will be in
think
it.
and Penn State.
Probably Oregon and Penn State.
Who will you root for in that?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Um, it's weird having Oregon in the Big Ten.
It is. I don't feel
You know
like
what I
I
mean?
just
You
feel like
got
they're across the
Oregon and
country and they're
USC, and it's just
green.
kind of
I don't know.
strange. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I guess it's kind of cool too, but um, I just
Not
don't.
used to it.
Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
see. I don't really have a strong either one. I think would be in. They'll probably both be in either way. You know, the story of the Big Ten this year is Indiana, who's always horrible at basketball. Not basketball, football. They're always good at
Football.
basketball.
Yeah.
At least they were when they had Bobby Knight, the
Okay.
general,
I
throwing
don't.
chairs across the floor and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You don't remember
Okay.
Bobby Knight?
I am not
Oh
a
my
huge
gosh.
basketball follower, so
Love Bobby Knight. Um, but
nice.
he but anyway, Indiana has they got a new coach and they just came out of the blue and they're
They've done well.
10-1, I think. So
Amazing.
they'll be in the playoff,
So
yeah.
they'll be in the playoffs. That's cool.
Yeah.
But
Should be
they're
fun.
not, but they're not going to be in the Big Ten. That's interesting.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. I think
Anyway,
it's Penn State and Oregon. Who cares? We're not a sports talk show.
is
Just
that all
kidding.
the sports? That's all the sports. Prayers for Trevor Lawrence.
Here's Roseanne Barr. She can
All right. Okay. Here we go.
start us
Let
off
me let me just tell everyone,
on the
I
right
know
foot.
nothing about what Todd's going to talk about. Like he just
That's how we
runs
like
with
it.
it, and I just am along for the ride,
She kind of
clueless.
represents all the listeners out there, and
I'm
so we all it's
clueless.
our conversation that we
So
have.
unfair. Okay, go ahead.
And this is Roseanne Barr on Theo Von.
Oh, nice.
Just
Love that guy.
Roseanne, I think, is a few drinks in. So we're gonna see what
Mm.
Roseanne has to say.
But Theo Von's like a recovery, like he's in recovery. She wouldn't be drinking on the show, would
Well,
she?
I don't know. Let's hear it and let's see what she has
Seems
to
like
say.
bad
And
form.
that is
Okay.
the truth. And nobody died in the Holocaust either.
No.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
It should happen.
What?
6 million Jews should die right now because they cause all
What?
the problems in the world, but it never happened. But it
What?
never happened.
Yeah.
Mandated.
Well, because you're part Jewish, right? Part of your family's Jewish?
I'm all Jewish.
You're all
She's all
Jewish.
Jewish.
100%. And that is the truth.
She just comes out.
What? What?
Nobody died in the Holocaust, but they should die, and she's Jewish.
What? And Theo Von's like, okay.
It's so funny because Theo Von's like, oh,
What?
all right.
I know Theo Von's like, exit stage left.
I just thought
What?
that was funny.
That's
It's just so
insane.
ridiculous.
Is she speaking ironically?
No, I don't think so at all.
What?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I think
Oh
that
my
she's one of, I
gosh.
have never personally, we go down last week we went down the 9/11 conspiracy hole a little bit. Not a lot. We dabble a little bit, give people a little bit of info, nothing
Did you get
big.
any feedback on that?
I didn't get a ton of feedback. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that I did hear from a few people that were interested that hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Like it was
The
kind of a brand new idea to them.
the people I talked to were riveted.
Were they?
They were.
Yeah, why?
So good job.
Um, but I haven't personally gone down, and you can go down it real easy. I haven't gone down the anti Jew rabbit hole that a lot
Yeah.
of people go down, and they're like Holocaust deniers. I don't even know that much about Holocaust deniers. I haven't gone down that road. I don't know
I
much
feel
about
like
it.
that's
You know what I mean?
insane, but okay.
I think what happens is your government lies to you about everything all the time. And so once you start realizing, okay, they lie to us about everything,
Yeah.
then I think it just opens people up and it can just, it can become the Wild West. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just like, but Rose, it's funny to
Yikes.
me because she's Jewish. That's the
Right.
funniest part.
What on earth?
And no, what's funny? She doesn't look drunk. You just never know with Roseanne. You know what I mean? She's
She's
just,
such a character, but I'm really blown away. I'm sorry, the funniest thing, what she's saying is kind of shaking me a little bit, but what is funny about
it's
that
the,
is Theo's like, all right,
it's like,
he's like, what the
that's
fuck
what
do I
I
say
thought
to
was
that?
funny about it. I thought Theo's like, oh my God, what is going on here? She just said that all the
Goodness.
Jews should die.
Yeah,
I'm
what
like,
is who says that? Who's
Roseanne. She
well,
just said
Roseanne?
it.
I mean, the only like the ladies in the squad, say stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Rashid Tlaib. She's
Rashid
from
Tlaib and
Dearborn or something.
Elon Imar, whatever, that lady. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Roseanne's like tighter with them than we realized.
Who knows?
Wow.
Speaking of our 9/11 conspiracy, I did find one more clip that I thought was kind of interesting. And
Okay.
this is specifically about
This looks old, by the way.
Building
Okay.
7. And so what happened is the story, the official story is
Okay.
that the two jets flew into Building 1 and Building 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are the twin towers.
Yes.
But within the World Trade Center kind of complex, there was
Yeah.
other buildings.
It's kind of like a campus.
Yeah.
It's some space in the city. Yeah.
And so Building 7 wasn't as tall, but Building 7 housed the CIA and a bunch of different. Now, no planes. Well, it's possible no planes hit any of them, but we know nobody's even claiming that planes hit Building 7.
Okay.
Like, there's not even any. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this guy was in Building 7, and his name
Okay.
is Barry Jennings. He's a black guy.
Okay.
Glasses, black guy. So let's hear what Barry Jennings has to say about the truth on 9/11. Just to follow up with last week a little bit. Give people a little
Okay.
bit more rabbit hole to go down.
Okay.
Well, me and Mr. Hesh, the corporation counsel, were on the 23rd floor. I told him we got to get out of here. We started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Blew us back into the 8th floor. And I turned to Hesh. I said, this is it. We're dead. We're not going to make it out of here.
In 2001, Barry Jennings was the Deputy Director of Emergency Services for the New York City Housing Authority. After the first plane hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m. on the morning of 9/11, Jennings was called to the city's Office of Emergency Management in World Trade Center Building 7, along with Corporation Counsel Michael Hess, to help coordinate the emergency response. Hours later, World Trade Center Building 7, also known as the Salomon Brothers Building, collapsed at free-fall acceleration directly into the path of most resistance. After 7 years of investigation, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, determined that the building had not come down due to explosives or controlled demolition, as many alleged, or due to structural damage from the collapse of the Twin Towers, an explosion in the building's fuel oil systems, or any of the other suggestions that had been put forward and retracted by NIST over the course of its investigation. In September 2008, just as NIST was presenting its final report concluding that WTC-7 had spontaneously collapsed from ordinary office fires, it was reported that Barry Jennings had passed away in hospital the month before. No further details of his death were offered. Dylan Avery, seeking to bring closure to Barry Jennings' life, answer questions about his death, and honor the bravery of a 9/11 survivor who spoke the truth even when it was unpopular, hired a private investigator to determine the circumstances of Jennings' death. In a remarkable and bizarre turn of events, however, after pursuing the case, the investigator referred the matter to the police, refunded his fee, and told Avery never to contact him again. To this day, no time or cause of death of Barry Jennings has ever been publicly announced or confirmed.
The man stepped over bodies.
Nothing
we
to
know
see
that
here.
happened. He and Hess both talked about internal explosions. That building housed the CIA, the Secret Service, the SEC.
I'm just confused about one thing, and one thing only. Why World Trade Center 7 went down in the first place. I'm very confused about that. I know what I heard. I heard explosions.
Oh.
So
So
that's kind of wild, right?
and let me just let me clarify here.
Go ahead, clarify.
Barry
Carrie.
Jennings,
Barry Jennings.
God rest his soul, a month before September 11th, he was
No,
declared.
No. He was in September 11th. He was involved. He
Okay.
was in Building 7 when it came down.
Okay, right.
You
But I
know,
mean,
it,
but they claim he died a month before it.
no, he died
Oh,
in '08 mysteriously.
oh shoot! So he is
And
gone.
yeah,
Oh dang! Sorry, Barry Jennings.
right before the
How dare you
NIST
question?
was giving its final report on why the building went down, Barry Jennings just died. No cause of death, no anything. And when the guy hired a private investigator, apparently a little bit of pressure was brought to bear. And
Oh my goodness!
Building 7 is one of the biggest mysteries. Well, there's a lot of mysteries around
Right.
9/11, but that's one of the biggest ones because there's no reason why. I mean, there
Right,
was no
there's
reason for it to come down.
no reason it came down. Yeah, it's interesting.
And there was explosions.
Yeah, there's
And
the NIST.gov. What is NIST?
they
What
just said
is
it. I don't remember what it was.
NIST.gov has a frequently asked questions about
National
World Trade.
Institute of Standards and Technology.
Oh, there you go. That sounds legit.
Mhm.
Um, they have a FAQ page on World Trade Center Building 7
Do they?
investigation. Yeah.
That's
I'm
all
sure
legit, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's all reliable information.
I'm sure that that's it. There's nothing to
Wow.
see here, I don't think at all.
Well, rest in peace, Barry Jennings.
Yeah. He
Damn.
did what he could.
Slipped through the cracks.
We go from
Dang.
Roseanne to Barry Jennings.
By the way, the Roseanne stuff is old. Just letting you know.
Is it? How
It
old
looks
is that clip?
Looks like June, like summer of 2023.
Oh, okay.
She made
I
remarks.
thought it was a little bit old.
I was going to say now, Theo Vaughn, I didn't know had been podcasting that long. So maybe she had made some remarks.
He's been at it a while. He may
Okay.
not have been big. I mean, like Rogan started podcasting in 2012.
Oh,
So,
true.
Theo Vaughn was at it for a while. Has been at
Okay.
it for a while. I don't know how long exactly. But yeah.
So Anyway, so I don't know if the few stories I found that say June, like her, Holocaust denial, etc. It all looks like it's summer 2023. So I don't know if this is a resurfacing of that, or if she actually was with Theo Von. Um, yeah. Oh, Theo Von on X a year ago says this was sarcastic.
Oh, she was joking.
Says this clip was taken out of a long sarcastic rant she had.
That's good. Now we know that
Okay.
maybe she's not a Holocaust denier. You never know with Roseanne. She's all over the place.
She's a wild card. I'll be right back. I'm having a technical.
Uh-oh. Carrie's leaving the show for a while.
I'm okay.
One of these days she'll come back.
I'm here.
But yeah. So that's out there.
That's wild.
What else has been going on?
Yeah, tell me.
That did you see that that Trump nominated Kash Patel to lead the FBI? Do you know anything about Kash Patel or don't you? Was he kind of a new one to you?
He was a new one, but I'll tell you what I've learned about him
Yeah.
this week from all of the mainstream media headlines. Todd, brace yourself. He's a loyalist.
That's what I heard.
He's loyal to Trump. Dun dun dun.
He's a brown white supremacist.
I know what? Like everyone's so freaked out that
he's not white at all. I don't know what he is, Indian or something.
I know, right? Yeah. Kash Patel. Yeah, he doesn't sound like a white dude. What? Why are they freaking out about?
They freak out about everything.
I heard some news guys talking today, and they're saying everyone's talking about it.
They're scared of him, I think.
These picks being loyal. They're like, of course they're loyal. What would Biden have picked someone disloyal to his causes?
Well, it's probably shocking to him because Trump didn't have anybody loyal in there with him the first time around. You know what I mean? That was
really was everyone that bad? Like
I don't know that everybody was, but it was on all sides that he was being undercut. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's here's Steve Bannon, and you know who Steve Bannon is.
I do. I don't have a favorable opinion of him, but you
don't. Why don't you like him?
But I don't know. Oh. He seems slimy to me.
I don't think he's slimy. He went to prison. He went to prison for 4 months because he refused to testify. He cited executive privilege. He refused to testify in front of the January. So did Pete Navarro. At the time, Bannon was an advisor to Trump, and Navarro was Secretary of Commerce. Maybe I can't remember. I feel like I'm wrong on that. But Steve Bannon has the wildly popular show War Room. Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Bannon's good. He's tough.
Okay.
I don't personally think that I think that your opinion on him being slimy, I think that that's by and large the same reason that people think Trump's a racist and a rapist.
Oh, okay.
Which is just mainstream media.
Just stuff that's trickled in. Yeah. That's trickled in. Yeah. I will say this. It's not based on anything. It's just like this feeling. And I
think he's a pretty good guy. Pretty tough on America First. Here he is talking to Kash Patel. I don't know, a while back. I don't remember how long ago it was. Before he was nominated.
Criminal prosecutions. Kash, I know you're probably going to be head of the CIA. But do you believe that you can deliver the goods on this in a pretty short order the first couple of months so we can get rolling on prosecutions?
Yes, we got the bench for it, Bannon, and you know those guys. I'm not going to go out there and say their names right now so the radical left-wing media can tell.
Whoa. I don't know what just happened.
You know what?
Technical difficulties.
No, I think it's the government.
But excuse me, the one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. And the one thing we will do that they never will do is we will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics and actually issuing them as lawfare. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media.
Boom.
Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators, because we're actually going to use the Constitution to prosecute them for crimes they said we have always been guilty of, but never have.
Wow.
That's why they're scared to death of him. That's why you're seeing the
Holy
panic out
crap. He sounds serious.
there. And there is panic out there about Kash Patel.
He's pretty ballsy. You know, I gotta admire these people who, you know, show their cards that way.
Oh yeah, they're not afraid. Like
I mean, that's kind of incredible. How would you feel? I'd be a little afraid.
I think they're just sick of it. You know, they've been targeted.
Sure.
And they're just like, screw it, let's go.
Okay.
I thought I had another clip of Kash talking to, I'm sure I do somewhere. Where'd it go? He's talking to Glenn Beck.
Okay.
And that was a good one too. And everything, I don't know a ton about Kash Patel. He's not one that I've paid a ton of attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Although whenever I've heard his name, I've had favorable, you know what I mean? Whenever I've heard him speak, the little bit that I do know about him has always been real favorable.
Yeah.
Like he's hardcore America first. But
right. All I've heard is the media like sounding terrified of him this week. So I'm like, okay, sounds
he must
good
be
to me.
great.
Sounds good to me.
Here he is talking to Glenn Beck. This is Kash Patel talking to Glenn Beck.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right?
Director of the FBI.
It's not the Nashville
that they're not
police
releasing
or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local
It's all
districts.
a cartel.
That's how they play the game. That's why you don't have a Black Book or the manifesto.
But the Black Book, it's not just sitting. I mean, that's Hoover power times 10.
And to me, that's a thing I think President Trump should run on. On day one, roll out the Black Book.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that. On day one, roll out all of the text messaging communications we were told were deleted. On day one, play the rest of the video of the pipe bomber. On day, you need one of the reforms I talk about in government gangsters. Is you need a central node to be continuously declassifying.
This
is
another
thing
really
they do. They overclassify. And I'm telling you, as the former number 2 in the IC, they overclassify 50% of the stuff there to protect the deep state. Oh no, you can't see that. Nothing to see here. Gina was a master at it, of doing it. And we still haven't seen half of the Russiagate report that we wrote. Still under lock and key. On how the ICA was originally constructed. We put 10,000 man hours against John Brennan's team that did it. And we found out why they came up with their bogus conclusion. But we couldn't sell it to the world because we couldn't talk about it.
Classified.
And the government gangsters came in and buried it. All of these things, there needs to be a continuing central power, whether it's the White House or offsite, that says every request that comes in, just right out the door, as long as it's not a major threat to national security.
Pretty good.
Is it still going to be there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one would hope.
I mean, why would why would the deep state allow all of that information that's been classified to be available to Trump's administration? I would think they'd destroy it or alter it or recreate it.
Well, the reason that they wouldn't just flat out destroy it is because it's hard to do that kind of stuff and it's just hard not to get caught. You know what I mean?
I don't think they care though.
Well, they care right now because they're scared to death because everybody Trump's putting in is going to go after him and start throwing people in jail. So
I don't say this lightly, like I don't throw this around, but it's like, do it. Put them in jail.
Oh,
Help all of them.
you've got to. You really have to.
It's going to look.
People have to pay the price.
It's going to look vindictive. The communication of the reasons is going to have to be clear and pristine.
Well, there better be real crimes, is what it better be. It better
Yes.
not, and not
Yep.
anything like this BS that they went after Trump
Yeah.
for.
Right.
There better be, if they're indicting people, and if
Mhm.
they're prosecuting people, whether they're journalists, whether they're FBI, intelligence, government, whatever bureaucrats they are,
Mm-hmm.
then you better have the goods. And I think they will. I don't think the goods will be hard to come up with. But and yeah, I think that we need to see
Wow.
people going to jail. We need to see people because otherwise they're just going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, this isn't Patel. This is Carville, James Carville.
I have
Remember
had so
James?
much fun watching him the last couple of weeks. That's right. Let me just tell you, I shared a clip of his with my son just today. And he's like, wow, he's a bitter old man. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes,
Against our space alien.
He said something about a Republican. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, he's a Democrat. He goes, no way. I'm like, oh, yeah.
He's the OG Clinton advisor.
He is like, I said, he is old school, blue-blooded Democrat. He's like, no way. Like, he
Dyed in the
couldn't
wool.
believe it. Yeah.
This is James Carville talking about Kamala's campaign
It's awesome.
and how much money they got. So this might have been the clip you shared. I don't know if you've seen this clip or not.
Nope, it's not about the money.
Okay, this is about the money, and I think reminded me talking about people going to jail. This is good.
But
So before you
resistance
play
is gonna
this,
have trouble raising
Hold
money.
on.
These fundraisers.
so sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's got to be the
I
same
need to turn
thing
it
though.
up anyway.
Okay. Does he look like he's sitting like in a retirement home park? And he's got headphones on. He's like blue sky behind him.
No, he's got headphones on, but he's in like a who the hell knows? Must be some kind of an like a motel or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
It looks like it's from
The
like the 70s. I don't know where he's
Okay.
at.
The stuff
It's very odd.
the stuff I've seen looks like he's at the, like out on the grounds. Out in
Yeah,
a
I've seen some of those too.
Garden walk at the retirement
But this he calls them out. Let's hear what he has to say.
for the money.
The
Okay.
resistance is going to have trouble raising money. These fundraisers are burnt. They're really pissed now. And the damage that the 2024 campaign has done, the damage that this decade has done to the Democratic brand is almost unfathomable. Almost unfathomable. But I would say the policy number one is we're going to audit everything. We're going to audit the campaign. We're going to audit Future Forward. We're going to audit the DNC.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
people can know. But I'm telling you, without complete transparency, the campaign, we think, raised $1.5 billion.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
In 100 days.
That Future Forward, the last we saw was 900 million, so we can assume that they got to $1 billion before election. That's $2.5 billion. Do you have any idea where that money went? Does anybody have any idea where that money went?
No.
I mean, I have some
Beyonce.
places I started looking.
Oprah.
All right. And it's all, Albert, I promise you this. The amount of money and the amount of lobbyists that were involved in this campaign is staggering.
It was all money laundering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I think that if they do an actual audit,
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to find out that they were just laundering money everywhere to all kinds of people. She hardly did any interviews. She did
Right.
an interview with Al Sharpton
Right.
on
Yep. He's one of 'em.
PMSNBC,
Yep.
and that was a quasi-favorable interview.
Mhm.
And you know how much they paid him? $500,000 for that
Yeah.
interview.
$500,000.
That kind of stuff all over the place. I mean, that was the Kamala campaign, and that's what everybody's starting to figure out.
It was
Everybody's
Oprah,
like,
and Oprah says, "Oh, I didn't accept payment for this." Well,
Mhm.
guess what? Like her business did.
right.
Her business accepted payment for that.
Yeah.
Just because she didn't like put it in her Birkin bag doesn't mean she didn't get it. It was so ridiculous.
No, it's a serious. They have a serious scandal on their hands. I think
You think so?
when it comes to this money thing, I do, because I was looking. I had another clip here from a donor. The donors are pissed.
Okay, so who do we think the donors are? Because
Well, these big time, just a lot of different billionaires and whatever, PACs and
okay,
whatever else.
but don't they know? Don't they know that this money is probably being
Well, what
laundered or
happened is
going to Sharpton and
one of
Oprah?
one of Kamala's senior campaign advisors
Mhm.
had an interview last week.
Okay.
And you know what he said?
Hmm.
He said, "Well, we never had an internal poll, not a single one that ever showed Kamala up over Trump." And everybody was like, "What? Like, you can't. That wasn't what they were telling the donors. I can promise you that."
No. Oh yeah, they were saying all over the place that internal polls were
Right.
good.
No, they didn't have
Wow.
he said they never had a single internal poll showing Kamala beating Trump. And that
Which
means that they
they
committed fraud,
fraud totally.
taking these
Wow.
people's money and everything else. And
Dang.
that's I think that that's going to end up
Ooh.
being kind of a big deal. We'll see. We'll
Okay.
see if it gets swept under the rug. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But when you've got Carville out there,
Carvel out there speaking
I mean,
reason.
it makes you wonder. You know what I mean? They because by and large, they're just double the by and large, the DNC, the DNC media, which is all of legacy media, they're all just doubling down, just saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's just misogyny. They just wouldn't elect a woman president."
Oh my gosh.
And they aren't taking there's no responsibility at all. Did you see Kamala's little video that she put out?
Yes. I,
It's a,
I I guess I don't think I've seen the whole thing because every time I watched,
well,
I,
this
I was
one's
like,
only
oh,
about 28 seconds, so this may not be the whole thing.
this is the good part that you're going to
Yeah,
play. This
this
is
is
the
the
only
good part.
part you need to hear.
This is as sober as Kamala gets right now,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
She looks horrible.
You have
Oh,
the
yeah.
same power that you did before November 5th.
Oh
And you
God.
have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire.
Oh
So
my gosh.
don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
She's insane.
Wow. So I want to know where do you think this came from? Because she's got the flag behind, almost looks like it's an office. It almost looks like a White House setting, but
Yeah, but she's not in the White House.
she's
I mean,
not in
she
the
was
White
in
House.
Hawaii or something, I think.
Right. So where is this? Is it a conference room in the hotel? Like
I have no idea what
maybe
she's
it's a
doing.
virtual background, but who released this? Did she do it on her own?
She did, yeah.
Does
She
she have to
thought this
get
was a good idea.
does she have to get approval for this sort of thing? Because
I
it's
don't think
really
so.
bad. She looks bad. She
She looks like
sounds
Willie
off.
Brown rode her hard and put her away wet. It looks real bad. I mean, it's real bad.
Oh, I mean,
And
you think,
people are talking
yeah.
about her like, oh, she's in the lead for 2028 now in
Yeah.
the Democrat. And I'm like, no way.
Oh, I know. They're talking
After
about
January
it.
20th, you're never going to hear a Kamala again.
No, they are talking about her running again. But you know what's so great?
Well, of course, she has name recognition. They just spent $2.5 billion, or let's say they spent $1 billion of it.
Yeah. But guess what? If she runs again, she's going to have to go through a primary, and it's going to be
she's
so
never- she's not
glorious
gonna-
watching her crash and burn at like 2%.
We're not going to see that. We're never ever going to see Kamala run again. You got all the joy that you're going to get out of Kamala. I can tell you that.
Oh, I shouldn't laugh. I sound like such a bitch. I really, I look at that and I think, oh, that's embarrassing. I should have secondhand embarrassment for her. But then I think she decided to put this out,
Yeah,
right?
no, she deserves everything
It's
she
really,
gets.
it's really bad. I know she's so false, such a liar, and probably like hammered in Hawaii.
Gosh, she looks bad in that
She
picture.
looks
It just
really bad. The lighting is bad. She looks bad, and she's all like, I promise you, you have all the power. It's like, what? It's terrible.
here's Joe.
I've just been told I've been fired.
He went off his meds.
What they do when they tell us, they set a time, how long we're going to be somewhere, and then what they do is they close all the roads. The Secret Service does. And if you want to lose all support for the Coast Guard and no one will ever vote for me again, I better get the hell out of here.
What in the hell is he even
What?
talking
What is he
about?
saying?
I don't even know.
Am I just tired, or did that not
No,
make
it
any
made
sense?
no sense at all. You're like, what is he even talking about?
Been fired. They're talking about closing roads, and he's talking about the Coast Guard.
He
What?
said something about how there no Jews were even killed in the Holocaust. They must take him out of context, I think. That's what I feel like.
It was sarcasm.
Here, do you know who you probably do? Do you remember who Peggy Noonan is?
That does not ring a bell. Nope.
Peggy Noonan was a speechwriter for Ronaldus Magnus, for Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
And a really good speechwriter. Wrote a couple books about the Reagan presidency. And then she went on to be kind of a talking head. She's been largely was considered somewhat conservative, although she has never liked Trump at all. She's real establishment.
Yeah.
But here she is
She likes politicians.
Yeah, she just, status quo, this, that, and the other. In fact, there's a couple clips here. She went on a podcast. Whose podcast was this? I think it was Barry. What's that chick's name? Barry Weiss. And I can't remember.
Familiar.
The Free Press maybe is the name of the podcast. Yeah, with Barry Weiss, who's a journalist of some sort.
Okay.
And this is Peggy Noonan talking about the Democrats and their message that they sent.
The Republicans, they're crude but clear, and Kamala Harris, it's just word salad.
That's Barry
As
Weiss.
my sister said, my sister and Nellie, one of them said it's word-shaped air. It's nothingness. It's nothingness. So,
that's great.
What's going on here? The left seems to not be able to say anything clearly, and the right seems to almost be too clear.
I know what you mean.
Too clear?
Barack Obama was considered a great rhetorician and a spellbinding speech giver. But I have
That's
to tell
Peggy?
you, nothing
Yes.
he ever said ever stuck in my mind. It all seemed rounded and
Like no edge.
rounded and sort of elegant in a way, or intending to be elegant, and there were nice words and there was a feeling of aspirational somehow, but it never really, to my mind, wound up being a thought. I used to, when Obama was first coming in,
That's the greatest line.
That's
it never
beautiful.
wound up being a thought. You know what
Sounds
drives
like-
me crazy is I'm certain that if I went back through the archives, I could find clips of Peggy Noonan just praising Obama up and down.
Oh, really?
But now
Oh, you think she did?
she's found some honesty.
You think she liked him?
Yeah, I don't think that she minded him as much as she's saying.
Okay.
But let's let her go. Let's see.
2007, 2008, 2009, he had this reputation as a political speaker. I would watch him give a speech and think, that's kind of good. But I would also find on the internet, print out the speech, and an hour later read it. And there was something so interesting in that Obama giving a speech was so much better than the speech, because Obama himself was compelling, but was very careful not to say anything that was compelling. It was an odd thing.
I believe it. It
That's
was
true.
his personality that
Kamala
captivated
Harris,
everyone.
Deliberately,
Oh,
you
no.
would think somebody running for office would want very much to invite you into their mind, into their thinking.
That's the
into
last
their
thing Kamala
approach
wants.
of problems and challenges.
There's a lot of space
But
in there.
everything she
Yeah.
said was designed to make you not know what she thought or what her approach was. So at this point, it does strike me as a deliberate strategy of the left. Sound quasi-lofty, but don't really say a thing.
Wow.
She is 100% right about that.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I have
Nailed
to
it.
give Peggy some props there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, Barack Obama, I disagreed with his policies, was never impressed with, him and any accomplishments, but he had a way of sucking people in.
You
And
know,
I think
yeah.
he thought if he directed Kamala that she could do it, that he could do it through her, and he just couldn't. She was so empty.
I always thought Barack Obama was the biggest empty suit out there. Now, I was heavily influenced my entire life by Rush Limbaugh,
Yes.
who the second Obama was elected said, I hope he fails. And everybody got mad.
Oh, wow. Well, I was going to say Rush, I'm sure, highlighted at the time that his only experience was as a community organizer, correct? Yeah. So, I mean, I
Yes.
think
Sorry,
back
I'm
at
dying.
it's okay. You cough. I'll ramble. You cough. Are you okay?
I'll make it through.
So
I got a
it's
cough
just
button.
good. There you go. But I was going to say, I know back then people forgot it, but when he came in, he just had like little to no experience. He was like this young, I'm trying to think if he must have been a congressman. He was a young congressman when he
Barack,
ran. Yeah.
he was a senator.
Oh, he was a senator?
He was a
Okay.
first
Sorry.
term senator
Okay.
from, I think he had been in Congress before that. And then, yeah, he moved on. He was a first term senator from Illinois.
Yep.
And,
And he just had a way. He just had, like she said, the elegance. That's wild. Well, she really nailed it.
Peggy Noonan, I have to say, I've read a couple of Peggy Noonan's books. Now,
Oh,
it
cool.
it's been probably 30 years, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
She had a book called What I Saw at the Revolution about Reagan's presidency that was really good. I
That
think she
sounds
wrote that
good.
relatively soon after Reagan's last term.
Okay.
She had one on Reagan's letters. She's had a couple different.
Oh,
She's
nice.
multiple books. She's a good
Mhm.
writer. She's a great
That's
speechwriter.
cool.
That was part of why she got gained some fame and
Right.
notorieties because a lot of Reagan's great lines, a fair amount of them came from her. She was really
Mm-hmm.
good. She was young and she was this Irish, kind of
Right.
blondish, redheaded, like
Oh, that's cool.
younger woman, and it coming into that wasn't typical of the time of
Mhm.
like speechwriters and things for
Sure.
presidents. You know what
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean?
that was what, 80, what?
So I actually really liked Peggy prior to what I felt was that she went a little bit. I just felt like she kind of went woke. I don't know, not maybe woke's not the right word because it was before woke even.
Okay. Yeah.
She just went wobbly and real establishment. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And
Sure.
she hated Trump. I mean, just did not, still probably doesn't. Although that's what I was looking for. I had another clip of the same interview. This is one, but I don't think that she's let's see what she has to say. It's kind of a long
Okay.
clip. We might not listen to the whole thing. It's 4 minutes. So let's see what she's talking about the populist movement.
Okay. Before you play it, can I
Yeah.
just say what's something so interesting because I'm not familiar with her. I really appreciate her comments on Barack Obama's speeches from an experienced establishment speechwriter.
She was right. She called him out.
Because
Yeah.
you and I, regular people, would listen and be like, oh, he said this, he said that, or he didn't really commit to that. Yeah, he just kind of gave this impression. But she like really understands the power
She
behind,
broke it down.
yeah. She
She
understands
really
the
did.
words,
Yeah.
what the motivations are behind the word, like the intention versus what's actually being said. And I just really appreciated her take on that. That was fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see what she has to say here. This is
Okay.
now see this is where she gets and we're talking so back in the day, like National Review was Bill Buckley's magazine, William F. Buckley Jr. that he started, right?
Uh-huh.
Kind of the conservative flagship. For a
Right.
long time. And then they Trump broke them. Trump broke a lot of people in the conservative movement. And they've
Right.
never come back. And I kind of thought she was one of those.
Okay.
But now here she is talking about the populist movement.
Okay.
And again, she's very smart and she's very articulate. So even though I frequently disagree with her, I would still often read her pieces. She wrote, I think she wrote for the Washington Post, maybe still does, comment, op-eds or whatever.
Okay.
And she's a good writer. Like I said, I've read her books and she's articulate and she's good. I just don't agree with her a lot of the time.
Sure.
On her take. Of course, I'm more of a disruptor. I'm more of like I'm bull in the China shop. That's Trump. And I love it.
I love how mature you are to be able to appreciate some of her qualities, Todd.
But I've been a fan of hers. I was a fan of hers for a long time.
8 years ago, you identified a dynamic that I think perhaps better than, there's so many explanations, right, for the seismic change we're living through. It's the elites versus it's the center versus the periphery. It's the tower versus the square. The way you identified the distinction is between the protected and the unprotected. And I want to read a little piece of a brilliant column that you wrote in 2016.
Brilliant.
The protected make public policy and the unprotected live in it. And the unprotected are starting to push back powerfully. The protected are the accomplished, the secure, the successful, those who have power or access to it. They are protected from much of the roughness of the world. More to the point, they are protected from the world they have created. They are figures in government, politics, and media. They live in nice neighborhoods, in safe ones. Because they are protected, they feel they can do pretty much anything, impose any reality. They're insulated, and this is what Rob Henderson calls the luxury beliefs. They're insulated from many of the effects of their own decisions, you write.
That's 100%
The attitude
true.
of the top half, the protected, is you're on your own. Get with the program, little racists. Social philosophers, are always saying the underclass must remoralize. But maybe it is the overclass that must remoralize. I don't know if the protected see how serious this moment is or their role in it. Brilliant.
Wow.
Is
It
this
was good.
election
I remember
the
reading that
ultimate repudiation of that protected class, or of what other people call our elite?
Yeah, 2016 was the absolute rise of the unprotected and seizing of power. And by the time they had seized power, they had lost so much respect for the people on top.
Still.
And
yeah,
2024
overpass decorations
is a serious rebuke of the protected, and yet, God bless them, they don't know it. They don't know it, they just haven't noticed. It was a powerful rebuke of the media, of which I am part, have been saying for at least 5 years now, don't do that, don't go with him, it's the wrong path. And they were saying, just this, go away. I wish they understood. There are more people sympathetic to people living rough lives in America and supporting Donald Trump than those people know, I believe. But I understand they're supporting Trump, but I wish they understood. There's an old farm saying, any jackass can knock down a barn, but it takes a man to build one. Any angry movement can say, down, tear it down. But it takes real dedication and gifts and commitment and even selflessness to build one. They have no sense of what it is they are going after and what will replace it. And I'm very much afraid of a carelessness on the part of powerful Trump supporters that will be allowed and gleefully chuckled at by Trump and others. You know what I mean? There's a sort of
She's very
with
scared.
all populist
She
revolutions. There's a and
She
there's
doesn't
a
have
tearing
faith
down
in him in
feeling.
those
Boy, I'm
respects.
disturbed by tearing down from the left. I don't want to tear down statues. I don't want to tear down historical reputations or the real reasons for America's invention and being and what it meant. I hate that from the left. But I got a feeling I'm going to hate the tear it down stuff that I see on the right, too.
You might, but I'm going to love it, Peggy.
Well, you know what?
I can't wait.
Here's the thing. She fears that she said it, any jackass can tear down a barn, but it takes a man, a real man to rebuild. She doesn't see that side of Trump that we see where it's like, yeah, he sounds like a jackass sometimes. Yeah, he's a disruptor and he sounds like it's all tear it down, but underneath it, he is dedicated. He is committed to all those things. He has
See,
those
to
qualities.
her, she
and
sees value in the
Mm.
establishment. She sees value in the bureaucracy where I don't see any value at all. In fact, I only see harm. I only see evil by and large. There may or may not be a
I
little
think
value.
I was going to say there's a little. I mean, like right now, I think it would be very dangerous to like completely just destroy the whole structure and rebuild. Like, I don't think that's what we need to do. I think we
That's
need
what I
to
want to do.
drain the swamp,
I want to
though.
burn them down. I want to burn the buildings down and plow the
Oh
earth,
gosh, right? Well,
salt the earth.
salt the earth.
I don't.
But you
I
know,
mean, I don't. I hope that. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that Kash Patel and I hope that all
Yeah.
these people can turn these agencies around, and maybe they
I
can.
hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
But
With the right people.
I am somewhat
Dare
skeptical.
dare I say we need some loyalists in there?
Oh, we have loyalists,
We
top to
need
bottom.
we need some
I mean, what
loyalists.
she says there is a point to. You can't say that she doesn't have
Yeah.
any point at all. That anybody can destroy something, not anybody can build something.
Right.
But I don't think that she gives because see, there's still in Peggy. There's this kind of elitist, and even though she'll look at us and we're the unprotected,
Right.
and these are the protected, and but to her there's still value in those educations and in those elitist institutions,
Right.
and they know what they're doing. They might have gone a little too far, they might have
Right.
made some mistakes,
Mhm.
but we don't just want to tear it all down. No, we want to tear it all down, every part of it, every single piece.
Well, if she had faith that Trump was the kind of man who could rebuild, then she wouldn't be saying what she's saying.
This is what she said about Obama,
Yeah.
and then what she just said here.
Mhm.
And actually, I've got one more clip of Peggy. I told you I like Peggy.
I like her.
Read her books, like Peggy.
I do think she thinks
Disagree
that
with
the
Peggy's
Trump
struggle.
voters are not that we're just I think she made it sound like we only care about tearing it down. She's missing the whole reason we want to tear it down is because we love this country and we want it to be what it's supposed to be.
Right.
And what these people have done is they've ruined it.
Yeah.
They're poisoning it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So no, I'm 100% agreeing with you. In fact, we're not going to do it today.
Okay.
Because we don't have time. And
Okay.
because it's been Thanksgiving and I've
Yeah.
been sick and I'm not ready
Yeah.
to do it. But I had there's an older fellow who plays with Lauren every week. His
Oh,
name's
yeah.
Daryl. Super good guy. Plays guitar with Lauren every week. He just played with her on Friday night for some songs. Really
Cool.
good guy. Anyway, this last week before Thanksgiving, he had borrowed my book, Leaves That Blew Away, which is available on Amazon. It's my memoir. And he had borrowed it from Lauren and read it and
Right.
enjoyed it. And so I said, you get to read my story. I ought to at least get to hear yours. You're all hanging out with Lauren all the time. And not that he's cool,
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I went over. We had some beers. We hung out for like
It's a good
3.5
segue.
hours. Yeah, it was
I
fun.
like it.
But he is not a Trump fan, like at all.
Okay.
Both him and his wife, former pastors. It's not that they're not Christians, whatever. But
Sure.
and was baffled, and I could tell they're both asking me, like, and they've listened to the podcast some. It's not they like it,
Okay.
whatever. But they're like, I just don't understand the Trump. How can you like Trump? And I
Okay.
was and at the time I wasn't ready to go into it. You know what I mean?
I know you kind of have to figure out how deep you want to go.
But I realized talking to them, I thought they're honest in their questioning and in their bafflement at the idea.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Which is nice. They're not just judging you and thinking you're an idiot.
And so I told Daryl, I said, listen, I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to do it in a segment on the podcast where Carrie and I are going to kind of go back and forth. And we're going to
Yes.
to make it understandable for you guys, to make it palatable. We're not going
I
to do
like
it
it.
today, but but he has that same kind of thing where he really liked Obama. He didn't really like Hillary. But what I think it is that they get most of their news and most of their worldview from a legacy media, and people like that, they just don't have any exposure. You know what I mean? And then the exposure they do have is this constant beat down of Trump and this constant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm
Just the
excited to do that.
negative
I think that'll
spewing.
be a good pod or a good segment on a
Yeah,
podcast. But
that's great.
I think we can do a good job. Plus, I
So we're
wanted to
gonna do
give
that
you a
next
heads
week?
up. Yeah, we can do it next week.
Beautiful. I'm excited.
But this is Peggy. I got one more clip of Peggy.
Okay.
And this is her talking about Trump.
All right.
And it's kind of interesting. So we'll let Peggy.
I never met Trump until 2 or 3 weeks ago. Did I ever tell you that?
Well, you just buried the lead.
Oh.
I mean, I'm hearing from Joe and Mika that they had this like rapprochement as if it's like the Soviet Union and America convening in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And here's Peggy, 20 minutes into the conversation, saying you met Trump. Tell us the context.
Here's what happened. In 2015 and 2016, when he was deciding to or had decided to run for president, was running, his office and his aides did what they would do with anybody else in journalism, which was reach out and say, we want to know you, we want to meet you, come on in, meet the boss, have lunch. And I always
McDonald's.
said, no, I don't want to. And
She
the
didn't want to
reason
meet
was
him?
I had a feeling that up close, he would be charming and funny, and that there would be something endearing.
Oh my
and that
gosh.
it would mess with my swing as an
I
observer. Yeah,
love
I
this.
didn't want
She
to
was
see
in-
him
she
up
stuck
close.
her
I
head in
didn't
the
want to see
sand.
him far away. Had this intuitive sense, see him at a middle distance. And I felt I saw him clearly at a middle distance.
She did.
So the years
You're right.
pass,
This
and
is
the
great.
tweets happen, and he attacks me at rallies, and it's
He did.
it's fabulous. About two, I mean, it was really interesting. I'll look back on it kind of warmly in a weird way. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, he came to the Wall Street Journal for an editorial board meeting.
Oh, of
and
course,
my
yeah.
instinct kicked in again, don't go.
Oh my
But then I
gosh.
corrected myself. I've been writing about him for 8 years. I have occasionally clubbed him like a seal. He has occasionally clubbed me. And it would
Wow.
be so wrong if he came to my newspaper and he couldn't go there and take retribution or do whatever he wanted to do. It just struck me as the fair, right thing.
Good for her.
Yeah.
And so I went. And so we're waiting for him. He came late. He's a guy on a campaign. And we're sitting around nervously because it's the Wall Street Journal. It's what we do. So I'm sitting next to Paul Gigot.
That's where she
And
writes,
in
Wall
the
Street Journal.
silence, as we nervously wait, Paul says, how many times have you met Trump? And I said, I've never met Trump. And he said, you've never met Trump? And he went, whoa, like, oh, we're going to have a drama here. And
boy.
suddenly I thought, oh, gosh, maybe it will be a drama. You know, maybe like, you don't know how Trump acts like when he's going to be horrible. I mean, up close. So anyway, at a certain point, the doors fly open and the entourage comes in, and there's Trump, who in person in that blue suit and the tie is huge. And the hair is huge, and everything is huge. And he like blows by others, and he just says to me, you are wonderful. You are the most remarkable woman. And I was,
What?
in a funny way, it was like listening to Joe Biden. It was like going backwards again.
Oh my gosh.
And
what?
then he sat down with us, and he was not to go off. I mean, he went on and off the record, but off the record, he was hilarious, rude, inappropriate, said things about foreign leaders that should not be said to a bunch of journalists. And I just sat back and thought by the end, honey, your intuition was right. If you'd met him in 2015, you would have loved him and not seen him.
See,
Wow.
I think she's wrong in that. I think they can't get by themselves to realize that the part that they love about him, that's Trump. That's the real Trump.
Yeah,
The
I was going to say
bombast
she's
is kind of how he
separating.
communicates. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But that's
So
the real Trump. That's why everybody loves him.
so she's saying that she would have loved him, but she wouldn't have seen him.
She's
And
saying
you're
she wouldn't
saying,
have been able to be
like,
straight and,
right, it's like, lady, like, that's the best thing.
Right.
That's how, I mean, I'm sorry, it's how he wins people over because he's so freaking real. He's not these politicians who are so full of crap.
Yeah, and he wins everybody over. In
Right.
person, I mean.
In
Like, you
person.
know what I mean? That's why you've got Joe
Yep.
Rogan. That's why you've got Elon Musk.
Joe
That's why you
Rogan.
got Kennedy.
That's why you got Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld. I mean, those people who were like, then they were all like kind of starstruck and
Yeah.
met him. And he's so genuine, sitting talking with Tyrus's family for 20 minutes. And
I know.
Tyrus is like, who is this guy? It's great.
I know. And I think and that's what I thought was so good. Remember when
Funny.
he did the Rogan interview and
Yes.
we both talked about how that was so good for Trump. Like because
Oh,
it
yeah.
was unfiltered 3 hours and
Mhm.
it not only gave Rogan, it gives the whole country kind of this
I
chance to
know.
get to know him
Millions. Mm-hmm.
without the filter of
Mhm.
the constant, back and forth of the media and the constant, because Rogan's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like that. Rogan's not going to run an interview constantly interrupting you and constantly being like, well, I mean, I know you're Hitler, but you know what I mean?
Well, right.
Like,
And Rogan also isn't going to take one clip of it out of context and try to make him look bad by using that in the promo.
right.
Or like 60 Minutes, take a piece of it, edit it so that it sounds better
Yeah.
than him. You know what I mean? It was so raw and
And he just takes
honest.
this
Yep.
person that is just bigger than life.
Yeah.
But at the same time of being bigger than life, he's been just like constantly demonized and everything else. And
Yeah.
what's been done to him is never, I don't know that that's ever been done to anybody in history, because I don't know that we've had a media capable of, you know what I mean, but with the proliferation of the
Right.
internet and just of
Mhm.
everything, the
Yep.
constant negatives. That's why
Right.
when I'm talking to Daryl, I'm like, I realize I got to give a little thought to this, because I think he really wants to know. You know
Right.
what I mean? And that's not, everybody's not like that. He's not just like all upset and Trump's
Mhm.
Hitler and Trump says he's just not a fan and he's had all these things. And I feel
Yeah.
like you just need to get to know him.
I look forward to your explanation. Or yeah, I'll
I couldn't
prepare.
do it without you, Carrie.
I will prepare some thoughts.
Here's Mr. Newt Gingrich talking about Trump, coming right off of this is just a quick clip, coming right off
Okay.
Peggy.
Well, Kellyanne, first of all, I think the only way you can begin to understand this is to take Trump totally outside of normal American politics and recognize that he's a mythic figure. He's like some of the people who come out of the Viking sagas. I mean,
He is. And that's kind of the whole clip. But he's just like you can't think of him. So yeah, I thought that it was.
He said, what did he say about him in the Viking saga?
He said you can't think of Trump. Here, let's play it again. It's only 20
Okay,
seconds.
thank you, because I feel like I didn't
well,
get it.
Kellyanne, first of all, I think the only way you can begin to understand this is to take Trump totally outside of normal American politics and recognize that he's a mythic figure. He's like some of the people who come out of the Viking sagas. I mean,
Okay.
And he's right. I mean, Trump
I
is
know
just,
what you mean.
he's bigger than life.
He's bigger than politics. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the people who don't like him take that bigness that they perceive, because you can't deny his bigness.
Right.
And they take it to be he's a dictator. They morph it into something bad.
Yeah.
He's a dictator. His ego, he's a big ego, all this. And it's like, no, he actually is not.
No, he's a real guy. And
Yeah.
he's, it's just like, yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah, that's a great description of him. And it's hard to, look at him. He impacts the world.
yeah, he does.
Does Joe Biden impact the world? No.
Well, Only
Well.
for the bad.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so he impacts,
I don't know if he does
people's
it purposefully.
bank accounts. I know, but I mean, he's just not like that. Even
No.
Obama, who they tried to make into that kind of mythic character, he wasn't.
No.
He has a big ego, though.
Yeah.
I
Still.
know I'm going to sound biased, but
I said to somebody, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I think that your opinion of Obama it will be disabused, like everybody else's misguided opinions of Obama as this Diddy stuff comes out. Because I think Obama is up to his neck in Diddy freak off parties.
really,
I absolutely do.
do you think that people will believe it?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually.
Because I think it'll be such a big blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless it gets buried, I can't imagine Kash Patel is going to go in there and bury it. I can't imagine
Right.
Trump's going to let it get buried. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I
mean, Barack and Big Mike are just going to run off to like one of their homes, right?
maybe.
I'm sure they've hired a new chef by now. He'll just take off and
I think things could get bad
go hide out
for Obama.
somewhere where there's no extradition. That's pretty crazy.
Two
right?
more clips, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
We're just doing it quick because, well, it's not quick. We'll have an hour and a half into it. Look at us go.
I know. I have to go make dinner.
You got to go make dinner. Holy cow!
I'm gonna start getting dirty looks. So
You're getting in trouble.
Yeah, no, go.
This is
They're
Rogan.
fine.
This is Rogan. Quick talking about
Love it.
The FBI Whitmer kidnapping plot. I love it. I love this. You know how many times we've talked about this.
I love it. Let's go.
The FBI did this whole internal thing with the kidnapping case for Gretchen Whitmer. We didn't know that before. We didn't know that you could have a kidnapping case where there's 14 people and 12 of them are FBI informants. So you got 12 people working with the FBI, 2 retards, and you convince these dumbasses that they should go and kidnap the governor, and they're like cosplaying. These guys are idiots. They might have been playing game Dungeons and Dragons in the woods. They're idiots.
There's an old saying, it goes something like, the FBI always gets their man because it's always their man. It's like,
the FBI.
I saw that, and that was just too good. It was too good not to play.
Hey, who's he talking to, Todd?
I don't know who that guy was. I don't know.
That's funny. I
I
want to look that up.
It was a
That's
relatively
great.
recent interview. In the last week, I think.
That's brilliant.
But he's dead on about that whole Gretchen Whitmer thing. That was
the FBI always gets their man
because it's always their man.
Their man.
It totally is too. And
That's
it's
wild. I wouldn't have believed that. I'm going to say how many years ago? 5+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have believed that.
No, there's been a lot of things that have now. I would have believed it probably that long ago, but I don't know if I would have 10 years ago thought that the FBI would just set up a fake kidnapping of a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was during 2020. That was during COVID.
Well, and I'm sorry, they didn't attempt the kidnapping. It was like just revealed that there was a plot, correct?
Yeah. Well, he's saying that there was 12 of them were FBI informants and 2 of them were retards. And he's right. The 2 people who were, in fact, I think I can say this now because our good buddy, old pal, Will is retired.
Oh, no. Okay.
He was intimately involved in some of that, some of those, because that happened in Michigan and picking some of those people up. And he said, even at the time, he's like, the stuff they had, I was thinking, this is awfully convenient.
Oh,
awfully convenient. So I knew early on that things were sketchy, real sketchy.
And I thought that, why did I think that Gretchen Whitmer was involved in that? Like she had staged the whole thing.
No, it was her and the FBI together.
Okay. Oh, she knew about it.
Yeah, she knew about it 100%. She'd say she didn't,
For
but
goodness sake.
But what's funny is in this way, we're going to kind of end. We're going to, not that we're going to end. We'll come back and say goodbye, but this is going to be our last clip. And this clip, this is going to go back to our kind of going back on things. This is Tucker talking about the plot to take out Richard Nixon.
Oh.
This is really good.
To take him out the way they took him out?
Yep.
Or okay.
Everything that happened 3 minutes. This is good. This is really good.
I love this stuff.
This 3 minutes of Tucker is just
gold.
Look at what happened to Richard Nixon, which I, of course, did not understand at all. Richard Nixon was taken out by the FBI and CIA, and with the help of Bob Woodward, who was a Washington Post reporter who had been a naval intelligence officer working in the White House, working in the Nixon White House. And then he shows up like a year later, and he's this brand new reporter. He'd never been a journalist at all. He's a naval intel officer. The famous Bob Woodward we all revere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at the Washington Post, and somehow he gets the biggest story in the history of the Washington Post. He's the lead guy in that story. Well, I worked at a newspaper. I've been in the news business my whole life. That is not how it works. You don't take a kid like his first day from a totally unrelated business and put him on the biggest story. But he was. He was that guy. And who is his main source for Watergate? Oh, the number 2 guy at the FBI. Oh, so you have the naval intelligence officer working with the FBI official to destroy the president. Okay, so that's a deep state coup. What else? How would you describe that? If that happened in Guatemala, what would you say?
Right.
And yet the way it was framed and the way that I accepted for decades was, oh, this intrepid reporter fought power.
Mm-hmm.
No. This intrepid reporter, Bob Woodward, was a tool of power, secret power, which is the most threatening kind, to bounce the single most popular president in American history, Richard Nixon, from office before the end of his term and replace him with who? Oh, Gerald Ford, who sat on the Warren Commission. Now, how did Gerald Ford get to be Richard Nixon's vice president? Well, because Carl Albert, the Democrat Speaker of the House, told him, you must choose him. We will only confirm him when they sent the actual elected vice president away for tax evasion, Spiro Agnew of Maryland. So you have a complete setup, like an Gerald Ford, the only unelected president in American history, actually sat on the Warren Commission. The
Warren Commission was we had the 9/11 Commission that looked at 9/11, and of course that was all BS. But they did the same thing with JFK. That was the JFK, the investigation into
the
what
Warren
happened.
Commission
Yes,
was
that's what the Warren Commission was. So he's not quite done. I just wanted to tell people the Warren Commission.
Thank you.
JFK assassination.
else that I accepted at face value until I looked at it and I was like, that's completely insane. You didn't want to interview Jack Ruby in your investigation of the assassination? Okay, you're fake. Yeah, he was on the Warren Commission. And so, sorry for the long story, but the point is, like that happened in front of all of us, but the way it was framed cloaked the obvious reality of it. The people who broke into the Watergate office building, from which the name is taken, Watergate, I think it was 6 of them or 7 of them, all but one was a CIA employee. That's real. It's like, look it up on Google.
It's true.
So the whole thing, Richard Nixon was elected by more votes than any president in American history in the 1972 election.
He did. That was a landslide.
The most popular, by votes, which is the only way we can really measure popularity, the most popular president in his re-election campaign. And 2 years later, he's gone.
Wow.
Undone by a naval intel officer, the number 2 guy at the FBI, and a bunch of CIA employees. You tell me what that is. Those are the facts. Those are not disputed facts. That's not crackpot shit.
Wow.
Pretty good, right?
That's wild.
That's the kind of stuff that, a lot of people aren't hearing. That's why
this has been going on
tune
for a
into the
long
Wildly
time.
Opinionated News Hour so we
Right.
can give you some context. No, we're not doing it. Tucker's doing it, and we're finding the clips and whatever. But this is some context for some of these massive stories that have framed our lives.
Right.
In our lives, political lives. Because he's right about Nixon. Nixon won by the biggest landslide ever.
Wow.
And he was absolutely a coup.
And he was forced to take our hometown hero,
Gerald R. Ford.
Oh.
Which I never thought that Ford was anything but a rhino anyway. Establishment rhino.
I mean, but back then that was not that big a deal.
Yeah.
You know what
well,
I
he was
mean?
like a Rockefeller Republican. You know what I mean?
They were all kind of the same. But I mean, he was just like a hometown guy.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Gerald Ford.
Corrupt as hell.
Do you think he was?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Really?
Yes, he was up to
man.
his eyes in it.
I'll tell you what. your aunt, my mother, not going to be happy about this.
She's not going to
segment.
like that.
She's
No.
not going to like.
Well, I mean, wherever he comes, wherever Ford came from, he never got any votes.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was part of it. There's no doubt that he was part of it. And Nixon got hosed.
So,
now, I'm not saying that Nixon handled everything perfectly.
Right. Right.
But Nixon didn't commit a crime. To this day, nobody can tell you what crime Nixon committed. He didn't commit a crime.
He didn't?
No. What was his crime?
I thought his crime
having tapes in the White House
I thought it was recording. Wasn't it like did he tap phones or something in the
Oval Office?
In the Democrat? No.
Well, the Watergate thing was the CIA employees who did that, and then they pinned it on him.
Oh, I know, but the crimes they pinned on him were that he had recorded.
There was a break-in
What, the
of some
DNC?
sort.
Was it the DNC or something?
What happened is that these 6 or 7 guys broke into the Democrat National Committee headquarters, which happened to be in the Watergate Hotel or whatever it was at the time, Watergate building, and yeah, that was that. And then it was the cover up.
Okay,
but yeah, Nixon didn't. I mean, to this day, they couldn't. I mean, back then they went to him, and he thought for the good of the country that he didn't want to put the country through an impeachment trial, even if he won and whatever, and so that's why he flew away in a helicopter.
Wow, it's wild. I wonder what was going through his head at that time. He was probably like, I can't believe they did it to me.
It really isn't any different than what happened to Trump, except that Trump fought it.
Right. I was going to say it's a different time. And I think,
I
don't know. I think, like you said, he thought it'd be bad for the country. I think his whole reason for being is to shed light on all of this.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I thought we'd take the listeners down that rabbit hole a little bit. Just, you get some different perspectives on things.
It's great.
We're giving Nancy a different perspective on old Gerald Ford, old Jerry Ford, Michigan football player.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
His alcoholic wife.
All the old school lessons coming back to. It's funny.
Betty Ford. She might have been worse than Kamala. She might have liked to drink more than Kamala. Remember that? The Betty Ford Center?
Yeah. I bet she'd like to talk to all of us about our aspirations and dreams and our power. Don't let anyone take your power away. Don't let anyone take your martini away.
Anyway, Trump is still going full bore. He's getting some great nominations. Woo! Everything is going wonderfully. Yes. And you know what I want to talk, you know what we didn't bring up, we don't have time to talk about it next week, we should talk about is what is going on with all these UFOs. Have you seen this? They're everywhere.
I haven't heard anything about
Oh my
UFOs.
gosh, we're going to have to get into it next week. I mean,
cool.
When I tell you there's a rash of UFO sightings,
really?
I'm talking about in the last 4 days.
Oh my gosh, okay.
England, Arizona, all over the place.
Ooh.
There are UFOs.
Is this on X?
Well, I mean, it's all over. I mean, nobody's really denying it.
Okay.
But what's going on? I don't know. It's weird.
That's interesting.
We'll talk about it next week.
Cool. UFOs. Why is Trump fabulous? And,
yeah, we've got more than enough to do.
Hopefully we won't be rushed. Well, you know what? We are rushed, but
That's
we still took our time this week.
It's still a holiday weekend. We could have taken the weekend off, and just for our listeners, we didn't.
I know. We're so dedicated to you.
All right,
actually,
guys.
we just have so many wild opinions. We can't hold them all in.
I know. We got to keep going.
Yep.
So
thanks.
Catch us tomorrow for Beers with Jesus.
Yep.
Beers with Jesus drops on Wednesday, and we're actually gonna shift gears a little bit. We've been going through Mark, and we're gonna take the month of December off, and we're gonna go to Luke to just the first 3 chapters, talking about the Christmas story, the whole thing, so that we're not bringing everybody down with the crucifixion over the Christmas holiday.
Yeah. Nothing like a Christmas scourge.
It is the reason for the season, but yeah. Right.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining me today, Carrie. Guys, you can get us on the socials at Todd's World or Todd's World 2023. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends about us. All your friends. We put clips out. Send them some clips. Say, hey, it's the most wildly entertaining thing I've ever listened to.
And are you going to put the whole thing out again, like on
Yeah,
X?
we're putting the whole on X and on YouTube. You can get the videos if you want.
I got dressed and put on lip gloss, so I hope
You're looking
people
fabulous,
watch.
Carrie.
Thank you.
And now you got to go make dinner.
I have to go make dinner.
So
I look this good making dinner every
it's
day.
amazing. It's amazing what you do.
I hope you feel better.
I will. I think.
All right.
I didn't get the jab, so I mean, I don't think I'll just drop over dead anytime soon.
No, you should be good.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Catch us on Beers with Jesus tomorrow, and then we'll see you next week for the next news.
Can't wait.
Who knows what we'll get into? You never know between now and then.
We might all be abducted by UFOs by then.
It's crazy what's going on. I'm telling you. All right, guys. See ya. Thanks, Carrie.